The parking garage beneath Sterling Financial Tower smelled like cold concrete and old motor oil. At 7:45 on a Thursday evening, the place was nearly empty, just rows of expensive cars sitting silent in the dim yellow light. Victoria Chen's heels echoed sharp and clear against the concrete as she walked toward her silver Mercedes, her phone pressed to her ear, her mind still tangled in the merger talks that had kept her in the office since dawn. "Tell them we're not moving on the deadline," she said into the phone, her voice tired but firm. "If they want this deal, they meet our terms." She clicked the key fob. Her car blinked its lights twice in response. She was 3 steps away when she heard it, the sound of footsteps behind her, heavy, deliberate, too close. Victoria's spine went rigid. She turned. Marcus Chen stood 15 feet away, blocking the path back to the elevator, her ex-husband, the man she'd spent 2 years divorcing and another year trying to forget. He wore a black jacket over a wrinkled dress shirt, his face unshaven, his eyes carrying that wild brightness she'd learned to fear during the final months of their marriage. The brightness that came before the yelling, before the thrown glass, before the restraining order. "Marcus," she said slowly, forcing her voice steady, "you're not supposed to be here." "Not supposed to be here," he laughed, but the sound held no warmth. "This is my city, Victoria, my building. I built half the systems in this tower before you threw me out like garbage. You violated the restraining order." She took a small step backward toward her car. "I'm calling security. Go ahead." He stepped forward, matching her retreat. "Call them, but we're going to have a conversation first. About what you took from me. About what you owe me." Victoria's heart hammered against her ribs. The phone in her hand felt useless. Her lawyer had warned her this might happen. Marcus had been sending emails, showing up at her favorite restaurant, calling her office, and hanging up when her assistant answered. The restraining order was just paper. It couldn't stop a man who'd already lost everything and blamed her for it. "I don't owe you anything." She forced herself to meet his eyes. "The judge made that clear. You left with half of everything we built together. That was more than fair." "Fair?" His voice rose, echoing off concrete pillars. "You kept the company. You kept the reputation. You kept your career while mine burned to ash. And you call that fair?" He was 10 feet away now. Victoria's back hit the door of her car. Her fingers fumbled for the handle behind her. "Marcus, please don't do this." "Don't do what?" Another step. "Talk to my own wife." "Ex-wife." The word hit him like a slap. His face twisted. "That's right. Ex, because you decided you were done. Because I wasn't good enough anymore. Because you put your hands on me." Victoria's voice came out cold and clear, every word a blade. "Because you shoved me into a wall when I questioned your spending. Because you grabbed my wrist hard enough to bruise when I said I wanted space. Because you made me afraid in my own home." Silence. Marcus stood frozen, his jaw working, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. Then he moved, fast, faster than Victoria remembered him being capable of. He closed the distance in 3 long strides, his hand reaching for her arm. Victoria twisted away, but her heel caught on the concrete. She stumbled. His fingers locked around her wrist, yanking her forward. She tried to pull free, but his grip tightened, his other hand coming up toward her face. "Let go of me," she shouted, her voice cracking with fear and fury. "Not until you listen." A blur of motion from the side. A gray uniform. Someone moving fast and low and utterly silent until the moment of impact. The janitor Victoria had passed in the hallway an hour ago. The quiet man who'd been mopping the executive floor, who'd nodded politely when she'd walked by without really seeing him. He was there suddenly, impossibly, his shoulder driving into Marcus's ribs with enough force to break the grip on Victoria's wrist. Marcus staggered sideways, gasping. The janitor positioned himself between them, his body angled to protect Victoria, his hands up but open, non-threatening, yet ready. "Sir," the janitor said quietly, "you need to step back." Marcus recovered fast, his face flushing dark red. "Who the hell are you?" "Someone who heard a woman asking you to let go." The janitor's voice stayed calm, almost gentle. "I'm asking you to leave, now, before this gets worse." "Before it gets—" Marcus laughed, the sound harsh and jagged. "You think you're going to stop me? You're a janitor, a nobody. Get out of my way." "Can't do that, sir." Victoria finally found her voice. "Call security," she said to the janitor. "Please." "Already done, ma'am." He didn't take his eyes off Marcus. "They're on their way. Just need everyone to stay calm until they arrive." Marcus looked between them. Victoria saw the calculation in his eyes, the weighing of options, the decision forming. "You know what?" he said softly. "Maybe you're right. Maybe I should go." He took a step backward, then another. His posture relaxed, his hands dropping to his sides. "I'm sorry, Victoria. I just wanted to talk. I didn't mean to scare you." The janitor stayed exactly where he was, watching, waiting. Victoria started to exhale. Then Marcus exploded forward. He came at the janitor with a wide, angry haymaker, the kind of punch fueled by rage and humiliation. The janitor didn't try to block it. Instead, he stepped inside the arc of the swing, his right hand catching Marcus's wrist, his left hand pressing against Marcus's elbow. The janitor twisted smoothly, using Marcus's own momentum against him. The punch that should have connected with the janitor's face instead carried Marcus stumbling past, off balance, his body turning with the redirected force. Marcus crashed shoulder first into the concrete pillar beside Victoria's car. The impact echoed through the garage. He gasped, the air knocked from his lungs. Before Marcus could recover, the janitor moved again. He stepped back 3 paces, creating space, his body once more between Victoria and her ex-husband. His hands remained open, visible, unthreatening. He wasn't attacking, just repositioning, controlling the space. "Sir, this doesn't have to continue," the janitor said. His voice never rose, never sharpened. "Security is coming. Walk away now, and this ends here." Marcus pushed off from the pillar, his face contorted with pain and fury. "You put your hands on me," he snarled. "That's assault. I'll have your job. I'll have you arrested." "You attacked me first, sir. I defended myself. There's a difference." "You—" Marcus lunged again, this time lower, trying to tackle the janitor around the waist. The move was desperate, graceless. The janitor's left leg swept back. His center of gravity dropped. His hips turned. Instead of being bowled over, he became immovable, rooted. Marcus collided with him, and it was like hitting a wall. The janitor's hands came down on Marcus's shoulders, not striking, just stopping the forward momentum completely. Marcus grunted, his feet scrambling for purchase on the smooth concrete. "Sir," the janitor said quietly, "please stop." Marcus tried to rise, tried to break free. The janitor shifted his weight, his right arm sliding under Marcus's left arm and up behind his back in a smooth, practiced motion. Not painful, not violent, just utterly controlling. Marcus found himself bent forward at the waist, one arm secured behind him, completely unable to generate force or leverage. "Let me go." Marcus struggled, his free hand slapping uselessly at the janitor's arm. "When you calm down, sir, not before." The janitor looked over his shoulder at Victoria. "Ma'am, are you hurt?" Victoria realized she'd been holding her breath. She forced herself to exhale. No, I'm okay." "Good. Stay behind me, please, and keep your phone ready in case we need to." Marcus twisted violently, throwing his weight sideways. The janitor adjusted, maintaining the hold, but Marcus's free hand found the janitor's face, fingers clawing, nails raking across skin. The janitor's head jerked back, but his grip never faltered. With a smooth, controlled motion, The janitor swept Marcus's legs out from under him. Marcus went down hard on his knees, then forward onto his chest, the janitor guiding the descent to prevent injury, but maintaining absolute control. Within seconds, Marcus was face down on the cold concrete, both arms now secured behind his back, the janitor's knee pressing lightly but firmly between his shoulder blades. "Don't move, sir," the janitor said. His breathing was barely elevated. "You're not hurt, you're just controlled. When security arrives, I'll release you. Until then, we wait." Marcus thrashed once, twice. The janitor's position didn't shift. Finally, Marcus went still, his face pressed against concrete, his breath coming in harsh gasps. "You're insane," Marcus panted. What are you?" The janitor didn't answer. He just waited, patient and utterly calm, like a man who'd done this 1,000 times before. Victoria stared at the scene before her. The quiet janitor who'd been mopping floors an hour ago now had her ex-husband, a man who'd terrorized her for months, completely immobilized. Not through violence, not through brutality, through skill, through training so ingrained it looked effortless. "Who are you?" she whispered. The janitor glanced at her. His face was calm, almost apologetic. "Name's Isaiah, ma'am. Isaiah Carter. I work third shift maintenance." "You're not just a janitor." Something flickered in his eyes, acknowledgement, maybe sadness. "No, ma'am, not just." The elevator doors at the far end of the garage opened. Security poured out. 3 men in uniform, hands on their radios. They took in the scene. Victoria standing by her car, Marcus pinned to the ground, Isaiah kneeling over him with perfect, controlled pressure. "Miss Chen," the lead security officer, a man named Rodriguez, rushed forward. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine. She gestured at Isaiah. "He stopped Marcus, kept him from—" Her voice caught. She realized her hands were shaking. Rodriguez turned to Isaiah. "You can release him. We've got it from here." Isaiah nodded. He removed his knee from Marcus's back, released the arm hold, and stepped away smoothly. Marcus rolled onto his side, gasping, his face red and furious. "He assaulted me," Marcus spat at the security guards. "That janitor attacked me. I want him arrested." Rodriguez looked at Victoria. "Miss Chen, that's not what happened." Victoria's voice came out stronger now, steadier. "Marcus was waiting for me in the garage. He grabbed me. Isaiah intervened to protect me. Marcus attacked him. Isaiah defended himself. That's all." "That's a lie." Marcus struggled to his feet. 2 security guards moved to either side of him, ready to restrain him again if needed. "She's lying. There are cameras, sir," Rodriguez said quietly, pointing to the corner of the garage, where a small black dome hung from the ceiling. "We'll review the footage, but right now you're coming with us. The police are on their way." Marcus's face went pale. "Police? No, I don't. Victoria, please. Tell them this is a misunderstanding. Tell them—" "You violated a restraining order," Victoria said, her voice cold as winter steel. "You assaulted me. You attacked the man who protected me. There's nothing to tell them except the truth." The security guards led Marcus toward the elevator. He went without further struggle, but his eyes stayed locked on Isaiah with pure hatred. "This isn't over," Marcus said as the elevator doors closed. "You're going to regret this, both of you." Then he was gone. Silence filled the garage. Victoria realized she was still shaking. She wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly cold despite the mild evening temperature. Isaiah moved quietly to her side. "Ma'am, would you like to sit down? You've had a shock." "I'm fine," she said automatically. Then, more honestly, "No, I'm not fine. Thank you. If you hadn't been here—" "I was here." He said it simply, like it was just a fact. "And you're safe now." Victoria looked at him properly for the first time. He was maybe 35, with short, dark hair graying at the temples, brown eyes that carried the kind of quiet steadiness she associated with soldiers or emergency responders. His gray janitor's uniform was clean but worn, the name tag slightly crooked. There were fresh scratches on his cheek where Marcus's nails had caught him. "You're bleeding," she said. He touched his face, absently. "It's nothing. Barely broke the skin." "It's not nothing. He hurt you because you helped me." "Ma'am, I've had worse from changing light bulbs." He smiled slightly. "This is nothing." Rodriguez returned, his radio crackling with chatter. "Miss Chen, the police will want a statement, and will need to file an incident report. Are you able to—" "Yes." Victoria pulled herself together, straightening her shoulders. "Yes, of course, whatever you need." "And you," Rodriguez turned to Isaiah. "The police will want to speak with you as well. What you did was—" He paused, searching for words. "That was impressive. Where did you learn that?" Isaiah's expression closed slightly. "Here and there. It's not important." "It might be, for the report. Were you military, law enforcement?" "I'd rather not get into it if that's all right." Isaiah's voice stayed polite but firm. "I just did what anyone should do. Helped someone who needed help." Rodriguez studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. "All right, but you'll need to stick around until the police arrive." "Of course." If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. 2 hours later, after the police had taken statements and photographs and assured Victoria that Marcus would be arrested, after the parking garage had been cordoned off and then released, after Rodriguez had filed his incident report and the building manager had been called and notified, Victoria found Isaiah sitting on a concrete barrier near the service entrance waiting for his shift to resume. He stood when he saw her approach. "Miss Chen, are you heading home?" "Soon. I wanted to talk to you first." "Ma'am, there's no need to—" "There's every need." She stopped a few feet away, studying him in the better light near the entrance. The scratches on his face had stopped bleeding, but they'd need cleaning. His uniform had a small tear at the shoulder where Marcus had grabbed at him. "You saved me tonight. You put yourself in danger to protect someone you don't even know. That deserves more than a quick thank you in a parking garage." Isaiah shifted uncomfortably. "I just did what was right." "You did more than that." Victoria pulled out her phone. "Give me your full name, your employee number. I'm going to make sure this goes in your file. Make sure everyone knows what you did." "Please don't." The words came quickly, almost urgent. "I appreciate the thought, but I'd rather not have attention drawn to—" He stopped, seemed to reconsider his words. "I do my job. That's enough." Victoria studied him. There was a story here, something he wasn't saying. "You're not just a janitor," she said again. "I am now." "But before—" Isaiah looked away, toward the dark skyline visible past the building's edge. "Before doesn't matter anymore, ma'am. All that matters is now, and right now I need to finish my shift so I can get home to my daughter." "You have a daughter?" "Yes, ma'am. Sophia. She's 6. My neighbor watches her when I work nights, but I like to be home before she wakes up. Read her a story at breakfast before school." Victoria felt something in her chest loosen slightly. This man who'd faced down her violent ex-husband without hesitation was a father who read bedtime stories. "How old is Sophia?" 6, just started 1st grade. She's smart, loves math, wants to be an astronaut." Pride colored his voice, warm and genuine. "That's wonderful." Victoria hesitated, then made a decision. "Isaiah, I know you don't want attention. I understand that, but I'd like to do something for you, for what you did tonight. Please, let me." He shook his head. There's nothing I need, ma'am, honestly. Everyone needs something. She thought of the worn uniform, the careful way he'd phrased things about not wanting attention, the mention of a neighbor watching his daughter during night shifts. Are you working full-time? 30 hours a week, it's enough. It wasn't, clearly. Would you consider more hours, a better shift? I work nights because my daughter needs me during the day. Can't change that. Health insurance? Benefits? His jaw tightened slightly. Part-time doesn't qualify. There it was. Victoria made a mental note. I'm going to look into that. See what I can do. Miss Chen, please. I don't need charity. It's not charity. She met his eyes directly. It's acknowledging value. You have skills, training. You're wasting them mopping floors in the middle of the night. I'm not wasting anything. His voice stayed polite but carried steel underneath. I'm taking care of my daughter. That's not waste. That's purpose. Victoria stopped, nodded slowly. You're right. I apologize. I spoke badly. Isaiah's expression softened slightly. It's all right, ma'am. I know you meant well. They stood in silence for a moment. The city hummed around them, distant traffic and the whisper of wind through concrete canyons. At least let me pay for a doctor to look at those scratches, Victoria said finally, and replace your uniform. It tore. The scratches will heal. The uniform can be mended. Isaiah, Miss Chen. He looked at her directly. Tonight you learned you're stronger than you thought, that you have people looking out for you, even people you didn't know were there. Don't take that away from me by turning it into a transaction. Let it just be what it was, one person helping another because it's right. Victoria felt tears prick her eyes unexpectedly. When was the last time someone had said no to her trying to fix something with money? When was the last time anyone had treated her like she was strong? Okay, she said softly, but if you ever need anything at all, you'll tell me? I will. He smiled slightly. Now please, go home. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be a long day with all the follow-up from tonight. He was right. There would be more police statements, probably lawyers, definitely questions from her board about security protocols, but right now, standing here with this quiet man who'd appeared exactly when she needed him, Victoria felt safer than she had in months. Good night, Isaiah. Good night, Miss Chen. She walked toward the visitor parking area where Rodriguez had moved her car. At the entrance, she looked back. Isaiah had returned to the service entrance, picking up his mop bucket to continue his shift as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But something had happened, something that would change both their lives in ways neither could yet imagine. Victoria climbed into her Mercedes and started the engine. Her phone buzzed, texts from her assistant, her lawyer, her mother, who'd somehow already heard about the incident. She ignored them all for a moment, just sitting in the quiet car, processing. Marcus had found her, attacked her, and she'd survived because a janitor with mysterious skills and gentle eyes had decided her safety mattered more than his own anonymity. She needed to know more about Isaiah Carter, needed to understand who he really was, what he was running from, why a man with that level of training was working night shifts for minimum wage. But that could wait until tomorrow. Tonight she just needed to go home, lock her doors, and remember how to breathe. Victoria didn't sleep that night. She lay in her penthouse apartment staring at shadows on the ceiling, replaying the parking garage scene over and over. Marcus's hands on her wrist, the fear that had flooded her veins. Then Isaiah appearing like something out of a dream, moving with precision and control that spoke of years of training. Who was he? At 6 in the morning, she gave up on sleep and made coffee. While it brewed, she opened her laptop and pulled up the employee database for Sterling Financial Tower. The building management company handled all the janitorial staff, but Victoria had access to basic employment records. Isaiah Carter, age 34, hired 8 months ago, part-time 30 hours per week, night shift, previous employer listed as self-employed contractor. No college degree. Emergency contact, Mrs. Rosa Martinez, neighbor, that was it. The entire official record of a man who'd moved like a trained operative and subdued a violent attacker without breaking a sweat. Victoria picked up her phone and called her assistant, Margaret. The woman answered on the second ring, her voice alert despite the early hour. "Miss Chen, I heard about last night. Are you all right?" "I'm fine, Margaret, but I need you to do something for me quietly." A pause. "Of course." "Isaiah Carter works night maintenance in our building. I need to know everything about him, where he came from, what he did before, why he's working as a janitor. Can you—" "I'll handle it personally," Margaret said. "Give me until this afternoon." "Thank you." Victoria hung up and stared at her coffee. She felt strange doing this, invasive almost. But the man had saved her life. She had a right to know who he was, didn't she? Her phone buzzed. A text from her lawyer, David Brennan. Police arrested Marcus at his apartment this morning, charged with assault, violation of restraining order, and attempted battery. Judge set bail at $50,000. He posted it an hour ago. Victoria's stomach dropped. Marcus was already out. Another text followed immediately. "Don't worry. Modified restraining order includes electronic monitoring. He comes within 500 feet of you. Police are notified automatically. You're safe. Safe." Victoria looked around her expensive apartment with its floor-to-ceiling windows and state-of-the-art security system. She'd felt safe before. Marcus had proven that feeling was an illusion, but last night, standing behind Isaiah in that parking garage, she'd felt something different, not the false safety of locks and alarms. Real safety, the kind that came from someone willing to stand between her and danger. She needed to understand that. Needed to understand him. At 10 that morning, Victoria sat in her corner office on the 42nd floor of Sterling Financial Tower. The city spread below her like a game board, tiny cars and smaller people moving through predetermined patterns. She'd built her career on seeing patterns, on understanding systems and predicting outcomes. Isaiah Carter didn't fit any pattern she recognized. Margaret knocked and entered, closing the door behind her. She carried a thin folder, her expression troubled. "That was fast," Victoria said. "It wasn't difficult." Margaret set the folder on the desk. "Miss Chen, before you read this, I need to ask, why are you looking into him? The man saved you, isn't that enough? I need to know who he is, or you need to know if you can trust him." Victoria opened the folder without answering. Inside were printed pages, records, news articles. The first was Isaiah's birth certificate, Philadelphia, 34 years ago. Mother deceased when he was 10, father unknown, raised in foster care, then military records. Isaiah had enlisted in the Army at 18. Infantry first, then selection for a specialized unit. The details were redacted. Long black bars covering unit designations and deployment locations, but the medals weren't redacted. Bronze Star with Valor, Purple Heart, Combat Infantryman Badge, the markers of someone who'd seen things Victoria couldn't imagine. Honorable discharge 6 years ago, no details on why. Then a marriage certificate, Isaiah Carter and Elena Vasquez, 5 years ago. A photo from the wedding, Isaiah in a simple suit, smiling, his arm around a beautiful woman with dark hair and warm eyes. They looked happy, in love. Victoria turned the page and found a death certificate. Elena Carter, died 3 years ago. Cause of death, complications from childbirth. Victoria's breath caught. She looked up at Margaret. "His wife died having their daughter," Margaret said quietly. "Sophia, she survived, but Elena didn't. There were complications. The hospital. She stopped. There was a lawsuit. Medical malpractice. It was settled out of court. The amount was sealed, but according to the lawyers I spoke with, it wasn't much. Maybe enough to cover the medical bills and funeral costs. He's been raising her alone. Yes. Working whatever jobs he could find that let him be home during the day. Construction, security. Finally settled on night janitorial work because the hours are consistent and the building has good security. He can leave Sophia with his neighbor knowing she's safe. Victoria looked at the wedding photo again. Isaiah's smile, the way he looked at his wife. All of that gone in a moment, leaving him alone with a newborn and a grief Victoria couldn't comprehend. There's one more thing, Margaret said. She pulled out a printed news article from 2 years ago. Local paper, small story on page 6. Local man prevents robbery, subdues armed suspect. Victoria read quickly. A convenience store near Isaiah's apartment. 3 in the morning. He'd stopped in for milk. A man with a gun had tried to rob the place. Isaiah had disarmed him in seconds, held him until police arrived. The store owner was quoted calling him a hero. Isaiah was quoted saying he'd just done what needed to be done. He's done this before, Victoria murmured. Helped people, yes. Margaret crossed her arms. Miss Chen, whatever you're thinking, I'm thinking he deserves better than mopping floors for minimum wage. He chose that job for his daughter because he has no other options that let him be a father. Victoria closed the folder. I want to offer him something better, a position in the company, security consultation maybe, something that he'll refuse. Margaret said it with certainty. People like Isaiah Carter, they're not looking for rescue. They're surviving with dignity on their own terms. You try to lift him up, you'll only push him away. Victoria knew Margaret was right. She'd seen it last night. The steel in Isaiah's voice when he'd said he wasn't wasting his life. But that didn't mean she couldn't try to create opportunities. Couldn't make sure he knew someone saw his value. Thank you, Margaret. This stays between us. Of course. Margaret hesitated at the door. Miss Chen, be careful, not with him, with yourself. Sometimes the people who save us become more important than we expect. After she left, Victoria sat alone with the folder. She looked at the wedding photo again. Studied Isaiah's face. The man who'd smiled like that had learned to keep everything locked inside. Had learned to survive by being invisible. Last night, he'd made himself visible to protect her. Now she needed to decide what to do with that gift. That evening, Victoria did something she hadn't done in years. She left the office at 5:30. She drove to a small neighborhood in North Philadelphia, parking her Mercedes on a street where it stood out like a diamond in a parking lot. The building where Isaiah lived was old but well maintained. 4 stories of red brick with window boxes holding dead flowers from last summer. She found his apartment on the 3rd floor, number 12. She could hear voices inside, a child's laughter, then Isaiah's deeper voice responding. Music played softly, something classical, piano. Victoria raised her hand to knock, then hesitated. What was she doing here? She was his employer, technically. This was inappropriate, intrusive. He'd made it clear he valued his privacy. But before she could lower her hand, the door opened. Isaiah stood there, wearing jeans and a simple t-shirt, a dish towel over his shoulder. His face registered surprise, then concern. Miss Chen, is everything all right? Did something happen? No, nothing happened. She stopped, suddenly feeling foolish. I wanted to check on you, make sure you were okay after last night. He studied her for a moment, then stepped back. Would you like to come in? I don't want to intrude. You're not. He held the door wider. Please. Victoria stepped inside. The apartment was small but immaculate, 1 bedroom visible through an open door, a bathroom, and a living area that doubled as a kitchen. But what struck her was how warm it felt. Colorful drawings covered the refrigerator. Books lined makeshift shelves made from boards and concrete blocks. A telescope stood by the window, pointing up toward the evening sky. And sitting at a small table, coloring with intense concentration, was a little girl with dark curly hair and her father's steady eyes. "Sophia," Isaiah said gently, "we have a visitor. Can you say hello?" Sophia looked up. She studied Victoria with the serious curiosity of a 6-year-old assessing a stranger. "You're dressed fancy," she said finally. "Do you work with my dad?" "I do," Victoria said, moving closer. "Your dad helped me with something last night. I came to thank him." "Did he fix something?" Sophia returned to her coloring. "Dad's good at fixing things. He fixed my telescope when I dropped it, and he fixed Mrs. Martinez's sink, and he helped Mr. Chen upstairs move his refrigerator." "Sophia," Isaiah's voice carried gentle reproach, "Miss Chen doesn't need a list of my handyman services." "But you're good at it," Sophia insisted. "You should tell people." Victoria smiled despite herself. "Your dad is very good at a lot of things." She watched Isaiah move to the stove where something was simmering. The apartment smelled like garlic and tomatoes. He stirred the pot, tasted, added a pinch of something from a small container. "Have you eaten?" he asked without looking at her. "I was planning to grab something on the way home." "I made too much pasta. You're welcome to stay." Victoria should have said no, should have made an excuse and left. But something about this small, warm apartment and the girl coloring at the table and Isaiah moving calmly through his evening routine made her want to stay. "I'd like that," she said quietly. "Thank you." They ate at the small table, Sophia chattering about school and her teacher and the ant farm they were building in class. Isaiah listened with complete attention, asking questions, responding to her excitement with genuine interest. Victoria watched him become someone different from the controlled man in the parking garage. Here he was just a father, patient, present, wholly devoted to his daughter's world. After dinner, Sophia brought out her telescope. "Dad bought it at a yard sale," she explained to Victoria, positioning it carefully by the window. "It was broken, but he fixed it. Now I can see the moon. Want to look?" Victoria knelt beside the telescope and peered through the eyepiece. The moon hung fat and bright, its surface suddenly close enough to touch, craters visible in sharp detail. "It's beautiful," she breathed. "That's the Sea of Tranquility," Sophia said importantly. "That's where Apollo 11 landed. Neil Armstrong walked there. Someday I'm going to walk there too." "I believe you will," Victoria said, and she meant it. Later, after Isaiah had put Sophia to bed with a story about astronauts and distant planets, he and Victoria sat in the small living area with coffee. The apartment was quiet now except for the distant sound of the city outside. "She's remarkable," Victoria said. "She is." Isaiah stared into his cup. "She's everything her mother was, curious, brave, sees the best in people." "Margaret told me about Elena. I'm sorry." Isaiah looked up sharply. "You investigated me." "I needed to understand who you were. After last night, I was just someone who helped." His voice hardened slightly. "You didn't need my life story for that." "You're right." Victoria set her cup down. "I'm sorry. That was wrong of me. But Isaiah, you have to understand. You appeared out of nowhere with skills that don't match your job. You handled Marcus like you've been trained for combat. I needed to know if you could trust me." "Yes. And now that you've read my file, now that you know about the military and Elena and everything else I've tried to leave behind." His eyes held hers. "Do you trust me?" Victoria thought about the wedding photo, the medals, the death certificate, the small apartment full of love and Homemade bookshelves and a 6-year-old's dreams of walking on the moon. Yes, she said simply, I do. Isaiah's shoulders relaxed slightly. Okay. Can I ask you something? Depends on the question. Why are you here? With your training, your experience. You could work anywhere, do anything. Why night shift janitorial work? Isaiah was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was soft. After Elena died, I was lost doesn't cover it. I had this tiny human who needed me and I could barely function. The army had taught me how to survive combat, how to lead men, how to complete missions, but nobody taught me how to change a diaper or soothe a colicky baby or keep going when every cell in your body wants to stop. He paused, collecting himself. I took whatever work I could find, but every job had the same problem: deployments, irregular hours, travel. I kept choosing between being good at my job and being present for Sophia. And after losing her mother, I couldn't. His voice caught. I couldn't let her lose me too. Even if I was alive, if I wasn't there, she'd still lose me. So you chose to be there. I chose to be her father. Everything else is just details. He met Victoria's eyes. That's why I don't want attention, don't want recognition, because the moment people know what I used to be, they start asking me to be that again, and I can't, I won't. Sophia needs a dad who comes home, not a hero. Victoria felt something crack open in her chest. She'd spent her whole life chasing success, building an empire, proving herself in boardrooms and negotiations. And here was a man who'd walked away from everything he was trained for, because love mattered more than legacy. You're still a hero, she said quietly. Just a different kind. I'm just a father trying his best. They sat in silence. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance. The city carried on with its endless motion. Marcus posted bail, Victoria said finally. He's wearing an ankle monitor, but he's out there. My lawyer says I'm safe, but you don't feel safe. No. Isaiah leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You want to know what I learned in the service? Real safety isn't about walls or weapons. It's about knowing what you're willing to fight for, and who's willing to fight with you. He looked at her directly. You're not alone, Miss Chen, not anymore. Victoria felt tears threaten. She blinked them back. Call me Victoria, please. Victoria. He tested the name, nodded. And I'm Isaiah, not sir, not the janitor, just Isaiah. Just Isaiah, she repeated with a small smile. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and her smile died. A text from an unknown number. You think you won? You think that janitor can protect you forever? I'm coming for you both, and this time, there won't be security cameras to save you. Victoria's hand shook as she showed Isaiah the message. His face went cold. That calm, controlled expression from the parking garage sliding into place. When did this come in? Just now. May I? He held out his hand. She gave him the phone. He studied the message, then opened her recent calls, her location settings, her app permissions. You need to change your number tonight, and we need to report this to the police immediately. It's just a threat. Marcus is trying to scare me. He's succeeding. Isaiah handed back the phone. But more than that, he's escalating. First the parking garage, now threats. Next, he stopped, jaw tight. We need to take this seriously. We? You think I'm going to let him hurt you? Isaiah stood, began pacing the small space. He threatened you. He threatened me. That means Sophia's in the equation too. I won't let that happen. Victoria stood as well. Isaiah, this isn't your fight. You've done more than enough. I'll hire private security. He knows where you work, knows your car, probably knows where you live. Private security can't be everywhere. He stopped pacing, faced her. But I can watch. I can be ready. And if he comes for you again, You'll what? Risk everything. Risk Sophia losing her father because you tried to protect me. Yes, he said it without hesitation. Because that's who I am. I can't walk past someone in danger and do nothing. I tried to be that person, tried to just focus on Sophia and ignore everything else. But I can't. It's not in me. Victoria saw it then. The war he'd been fighting since Elena died. The battle between the man trained to protect and the father trying to simply survive. Last night in the parking garage, instinct had won. But instinct had consequences. I won't let you sacrifice yourself for me, she said firmly. Then we figure out another way. He pulled out his own phone. I know people, former unit members. Some do private security now. Good people, people I trust. Let me make some calls, at least until Marcus is dealt with. That would consider it a favor, to a friend. Friend, the word hung between them, new and fragile and surprisingly right. Okay, Victoria said. Thank you. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. The next morning, Victoria arrived at her office to find two men waiting in the lobby. Both wore dark suits and moved with the same controlled economy as Isaiah. One was tall and broad-shouldered with a scar along his jawline. The other was shorter, compact, with eyes that never stopped scanning the room. Miss Chen. The tall one extended his hand. Marcus Reeves. This is David Park, Isaiah called. Asked us to provide security until your situation is resolved. Victoria shook their hands, surprised by Isaiah's efficiency. How do you know Isaiah? Served together, Reeves said simply. He saved my life twice. My brother's life once. When he calls, we answer, no questions asked. They fell into position behind her as she headed to the elevator. Professional, unobtrusive, but their presence was impossible to ignore. Victoria felt eyes on them as they rode up to the executive floor. By noon, the entire building would be buzzing with gossip. The CEO had bodyguards. Something serious was happening. Margaret met her at her office door, concern etched on her face. What's going on? Victoria handed her the phone, showing Marcus's threatening text. Margaret's face paled. We're handling it, Victoria said. But for the next few days, these gentlemen will be accompanying me. Does the board know? Not yet. I'll brief them this afternoon. Margaret hesitated. Miss Chen, I know you're trying to handle this quietly, but Marcus violated bail conditions by making that threat. You need to tell the police. Get him arrested again. Already done. Isaiah reported it last night. They're looking for him now. Isaiah again? Margaret's expression was knowing. He's becoming rather involved in your life. He's helping a friend. Is that what you are? Friends? Victoria didn't have an answer. What were they? Two people thrown together by violence, now connected by something neither fully understood. She'd had dinner in his home, met his daughter, seen his carefully constructed life, and he'd read her file, knew her business, understood her fear. Friends didn't cover it, but she didn't know what did. He's someone I trust, Victoria said finally. In a world where I'm not sure who's safe, that matters. Margaret nodded slowly. Just be careful, both of you. The day passed in a blur of meetings and phone calls. The merger negotiations, budget reviews, a conference call with London that ran 2 hours long. Through it all, Reeves and Park remained present but unobtrusive. Shadows with purpose. At 6, Victoria's phone rang. Isaiah. Victoria, Sophia's school just called. Someone tried to pick her up. Claimed to be my brother. I don't have a brother. Victoria's blood went cold. Is she safe? Yes, the school has a strict policy. Only approved people on the list. They wouldn't release her, but someone sent someone after my daughter. His voice shook with controlled fury. Marcus is going after Sophia to get to me. Where are you now? Picking her up, taking her to I don't know where, somewhere safe. Mrs. Martinez's place isn't secure. If they know about Sophia's school, they know where we live. Victoria made a decision. Bring her here, to my apartment. I have security, 24-hour doorman, cameras, it's safe. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm insisting. Isaiah, please, let me help. Silence. Then, okay, text me the address. We'll be there in an hour. Victoria ended the call and turned to Reeves. Change of plans. Isaiah and his daughter are coming to my apartment. We need to make sure no one follows them. Reeves pulled out his phone. Park will intercept them. Make sure they're clean before they arrive. Where are they now? Victoria texted Isaiah, then relayed the information. Within minutes, Reeves had coordinated with Park. Military precision applied to civilian protection. Ma'am, Reeves said carefully, you should know, bringing them to your place puts you at increased risk. If Marcus is targeting the daughter, he'll come looking. Let him, Victoria said coldly. This time, we'll be ready. An hour later, Victoria stood in her penthouse, watching the elevator numbers climb. 41, 42, 43. The doors opened and Isaiah stepped out, Sophia clutching his hand, her face pale and scared. Park followed behind them, watchful. Sophia, Victoria knelt to the girl's level. Are you okay, sweetheart? Sophia nodded, but her eyes were too wide. A man came to my school. He said he was my uncle, but I don't have an uncle. The teacher wouldn't let me go with him. She said only Dad can pick me up. Your teacher was very smart, Victoria said gently. And you were brave. You did exactly right. I want my telescope, Sophia whispered. Did Dad bring my telescope? Isaiah held up a backpack. Got it, sweetheart. And your favorite books. And Mr. Astronaut. He pulled out a worn stuffed bear wearing a tiny spacesuit. Sophia took the bear and hugged it close. Some of the fear left her face. Victoria showed them to the guest room, large and elegant with a view of the city lights. Sophia's eyes widened. It's like a spaceship, she breathed, up so high. You can set up your telescope by the window, Victoria said. See if you can spot the moon from here. As Sophia explored the room, Isaiah pulled Victoria aside. His face was drawn, exhausted. I'm sorry, I never should have brought her into this. Should have found another way to… There is no other way, Victoria said firmly. Marcus forced this, not you, not me. He chose to threaten a child. That's on him. If anything happens to her, nothing will happen to her, or to you, I promise. Isaiah looked at her for a long moment. You can't promise that. No, she admitted, but I can promise I won't let you face this alone. Something shifted in his expression. Gratitude, trust, and something else Victoria couldn't quite name but felt echo in her own chest. In the guest room, Sophia had set up her telescope and was peering through it at the city below. I can see everything from here, she called out. All the lights, all the people. It's like looking at stars but on the ground. Isaiah managed a smile. That's a good way to see it, baby. Victoria's phone buzzed. A text from her lawyer. Police found Marcus. He's being held without bail now. The threat plus the attempt on the daughter violated multiple conditions. Judge revoked bail entirely. He's in custody. Relief flooded through her. Marcus was arrested, she told Isaiah. He's in jail, no bail this time. Isaiah closed his eyes briefly. Thank God. But Victoria's relief was short-lived. Another text came through, from Margaret this time, saw the news. Marcus's arrest is all over social media. The story about the parking garage attack went viral. Video leaked somehow, 30 million views and climbing. You and Isaiah are being called heroes, but that also means Marcus's associates know exactly who stopped him. Be careful. Victoria showed Isaiah the message. His face went grim. Viral? The security footage. Someone leaked it. That means everyone knows, Victoria finished, about what you did, about who you are. The thing Isaiah had been trying to avoid for years, attention, recognition, his past catching up with his present, had just exploded across the internet. In the guest room, Sophia called out, "Dad, come look, I found Orion." Isaiah looked torn between his daughter's joy and the weight of this new development. "Go," Victoria said softly. "Be with her. We'll figure out the rest later." He nodded and went to his daughter. Victoria watched them through the doorway. Father and daughter bent over a telescope, pointing at constellations, finding light in the darkness. Her phone kept buzzing. Messages, emails, friend requests. The video was everywhere. Comments flooded in. "Who is this janitor?" That was like watching Jason Bourne. 6 moves. Count them. 6 moves to take down a grown man. This guy is trained. The way he protected her. That's what a real man looks like. Anyone else crying? The ex-husband attacking her, and this humble janitor just saves her. Faith in humanity restored. The story had taken on a life of its own. Isaiah, the janitor hero. Victoria, the CEO, saved by the man everyone overlooked. It was romantic, dramatic, perfect for the algorithm, and it was about to change everything. The video hit 40 million views by morning. Victoria woke to find her assistant, Margaret, already at the penthouse with a crisis communications team. 3 people in sharp suits sat around her dining table, laptops open, phones buzzing with media requests. "We need to get ahead of this," the lead consultant, a woman named Rachel, said without preamble. "Good Morning America wants you both for an interview. CNN, Fox, MSNBC, they're all calling. The story is snowballing. Underdog hero, romance angle, corporate executive and working class protector. It's everything the internet loves." "No. Interviews," Victoria said immediately. "Absolutely not. Miss Chen, with respect, that's not an option anymore. The story is out there. If you don't control the narrative, someone else will. Already we're seeing conspiracy theories. People claiming the whole thing was staged. Others saying Isaiah has a criminal past. You need to tell your side." "My side is private." "Was private," Rachel corrected. "The moment that video leaked, privacy became a luxury you no longer have." Isaiah emerged from the guest room, Sophia still sleeping inside. He'd heard everything. His face was drawn, exhausted. He hadn't slept. "She's right," he said quietly. "We can't hide from this." "Isaiah?" "Victoria, I've been getting calls since 5 this morning. News stations, magazines, someone from Hollywood wanting to buy the rights to our story." He laughed bitterly. "Our story, like this is entertainment." "What do you want to do?" He looked at the crisis team, then at Victoria. "I want to protect Sophia, that's all. I don't care about the rest." "Then we control it," Rachel said, sensing an opening. "One interview, the right outlet. You tell your story on your terms. Emphasize Sophia. Emphasize your privacy. Make it clear you're not heroes. You're just people trying to live your lives. It'll kill the mystery, make you boring. The internet will move on." Isaiah considered this. "One interview, together." He looked at Victoria. "If you're willing." Victoria wanted to refuse, wanted to retreat to her boardroom where she controlled everything, but she looked at Isaiah standing there in yesterday's clothes, protecting his daughter from a world that wanted to consume them both, and she knew Rachel was right. "One interview," she agreed, "but we choose the outlet, and we have full approval on what airs." "Done." They chose a small local station, Morning Philadelphia, a friendly host named Kara who agreed to their terms. No ambush questions, no speculation about romance, focus on the facts. The interview was scheduled for that afternoon. While the team prepared, Victoria found Isaiah on her balcony. He stood at the railing, looking out at the city 43 floors below. "Second thoughts?" she asked, joining him. "About 100. He glanced at her. "You know what bothers me most? The comments. People calling me a hero, saying I'm this amazing person, but they don't know me, don't know what I've done, the things I did in the service." He stopped, jaw tight. "I'm not a hero. I'm someone who got out before I became something worse." "What happened over there?" Isaiah was quiet for a long time. "Things I don't talk about. Things I'm trying to let Sophia never have to understand. But the short version is, I followed orders I shouldn't have, did things I can't take back. And when I came home, I looked at myself and didn't recognize who I'd become." He turned to face her fully. "Elena saved me, gave me a reason to be better. And when she died, Sophia became that reason. This quiet life, this invisibility, it's not hiding, it's healing. And now the world won't let you heal quietly." "No." He smiled sadly. "But maybe that's not the worst thing. Maybe Sophia seeing her dad stand up, seeing him protect someone who needed help, maybe that teaches her something important, that we don't get to choose when we're called on. We just get to choose whether we answer." Victoria reached out and took his hand. The gesture felt natural now. This connection that had formed over 3 impossible days. "For what it's worth, you are a hero. Not because of what you did in the service, because of what you're doing now. Raising your daughter, showing up, choosing kindness when you could choose anger." Isaiah squeezed her hand. "Thank you." They stood like that, 43 floors above the city, the morning sun warm on their faces, until Margaret called them inside. It was time. The interview took place in Victoria's office, with the city spread behind them, through floor-to-ceiling windows. Kara sat across from Victoria and Isaiah, her expression warm but professional. "Let's start with the basics," she said, as cameras rolled. "Victoria, can you walk us through what happened that night?" Victoria described it plainly. The parking garage, Marcus appearing, his anger, the attack, then Isaiah intervening. "And Isaiah," Kara turned to him, "you work as a janitor in the building. You just happened to be there." "I was finishing my shift, heard raised voices, saw a situation that needed help. The video shows you subduing Marcus Chen with remarkable skill. Where did you learn to do that?" Isaiah's jaw tightened slightly. "I served in the Army, 12 years. Part of that included training in hand-to-hand combat and threat neutralization." "So you're not just a janitor?" "I am just a janitor," Isaiah said firmly. "That's my job, my career. What I did before, that's history. It doesn't define who I am now. But surely with your background, you could do other work, higher paying, more prestigious." "I work nights so I can be home during the day with my 6-year-old daughter. She lost her mother 3 years ago. I'm all she has. No amount of prestige or money is worth missing her childhood." Kara's expression softened. "That's beautiful. But some people online are calling you a hero. What do you say to that?" "I say they're wrong. A hero would be someone like Elena, my wife, who fought for 8 hours to bring our daughter into this world and never got to see her grow up. A hero is every single parent working 2 jobs to keep their kids fed. A hero is everyone who shows up every day and does what needs doing without expecting recognition." He looked directly at the camera. "I'm not a hero. I'm just a dad who happened to be in the right place at the right time." "And now?" Kara asked. "Marcus Chen has been arrested. He's facing serious charges, but the video has gone viral. Your life has been completely exposed. How do you feel about that?" Isaiah glanced at Victoria. She nodded encouragement. "Honestly, it terrifies me. I built a quiet life for a reason. Privacy matters, safety matters, and now my daughter's face is being plastered online. Strangers are showing up at our building, and I can't—" His voice caught. "I just want to protect her, let her be a kid, but I can't control this anymore." Kara turned to Victoria. "And you, Miss Chen, there's speculation online about your relationship with Isaiah. Some people are calling this a real-life fairy tale. The CEO and the janitor. What do you say to that?" Victoria met her eyes steadily. "I say that Isaiah saved my life, that he put himself in danger to protect a stranger, and that I'm grateful every single day that he was there. As for our relationship, we're friends. He's someone I trust, someone I value, and whatever happens going forward, that won't change." "Just friends? Is friendship not enough?" Victoria's voice carried an edge. "We've known each other less than a week, a traumatic, intense week. We're figuring things out. But what we are or aren't to each other isn't public property. It's ours, and I'd appreciate if people respected that." Kara nodded slowly. "Fair enough. One last question for both of you. What do you want people to take away from this story?" Victoria looked at Isaiah. He looked back. Some unspoken communication passed between them. "That the people you overlook might be the ones who save you," Victoria said. "That kindness and courage aren't about status or wealth. They're about character. And that everyone deserves to be seen. And that safety isn't just about walls and security systems," Isaiah added. "It's about community, about people willing to stand up for each other. I did that for Victoria, but people do it for each other every day in 1,000 small ways. We just don't usually have cameras recording it." Kara smiled. "Thank you both for your time and your honesty. I think a lot of people needed to hear this." As the cameras powered down, Victoria felt something release in her chest. It was done. They'd told their story. Now they just had to hope the world would listen. The interview aired that evening. Response was immediate and overwhelming. The comments section filled with support. "Finally, someone with sense. Leave them alone. The man just wants to raise his daughter in peace. Respect that. She's right. Friendship is enough. Not everything needs to be a romance. I'm a single parent too. I see you, Isaiah. Keep fighting." But there were other responses too, darker ones. Messages from Marcus's friends. Threats from people who believed Victoria had somehow entrapped him. Conspiracy theorists spinning wild tales. And then, at 11 that night, Victoria's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Hello?" "Victoria Chen?" A woman's voice, professional, clipped. "Yes. Who is this?" "My name is Sarah Mendez. I'm a talent scout for Titan Security Solutions. We provide executive protection, risk assessment, security consultation for Fortune 500 companies. I watched your interview. I'd like to offer Isaiah Carter a position." Victoria's breath caught. "What kind of position?" "Director of training. He'd design and implement our entire hand-to-hand combat curriculum, work with our teams, share his expertise. The position is fully remote with flexible hours. He could work from home, be with his daughter, and still use his skills. Salary starts at $120,000. Full benefits. College fund for his daughter." Victoria's hand shook. "Why are you calling me?" "Because I tried calling him. He didn't answer, and I have a feeling he won't. But he might listen to you. This is a real offer. Not charity, not publicity. We need someone with his background, his values. We've been looking for someone exactly like him for 2 years." "I'll tell him," Victoria said slowly, "but I can't guarantee he'll take it." "I know, but I had to try." Sarah gave her contact information and hung up. Victoria sat in the darkness of her living room, the offer spinning in her mind. This could change everything for Isaiah. Let him use his skills, earn real money, still be present for Sophia. But would he see it as opportunity or intrusion? She found him in the guest room, sitting by Sophia's bed, watching her sleep. The telescope stood by the window, pointed at the stars. "Someone wants to hire you," Victoria said quietly. Isaiah looked up. "What?" She explained Sarah's offer, watched his face carefully. He listened without interrupting, his expression unreadable. When she finished, he was silent for a long time. 120,000, he finally said, plus benefits. That's more than I've made in the last 3 years combined." He looked at his sleeping daughter. "That's college money, that's a better apartment, that's—" He stopped, overwhelmed. "It's a real job, Isaiah. Using your real skills. You wouldn't be invisible anymore, you'd be valued." "But would I be present? Remote work sounds good on paper, but there's always travel. Always emergencies, always something pulling you away." "You could ask," Victoria said. "Negotiate, set boundaries. You have leverage now. The whole world just watched you disarm a violent attacker with 6 moves. Every security company on the planet would want you." "I don't want every company, I want—" He stopped, looked at her. "What do you want, Victoria?" The question hung between them. What did she want? "I want you to be happy," she said finally. "You and Sophia, whatever that looks like." "That's not what I asked." He stood, moved closer. They were inches apart now in the dim light from the hallway. "I asked what you want, for yourself, from this, from—" He gestured between them. "Whatever this is." Victoria's heart hammered. "I don't know. A week ago I was alone, running a company, fighting a divorce that wouldn't end. And now you're here. And Sophia's here. And my apartment doesn't feel empty. And I don't want—" Her voice cracked. "I don't want you to leave. Then I won't. But you should take that job. You should—" "Victoria." He took her hands. "I'll call Sarah tomorrow. I'll ask about flexibility, about boundaries, about making it work. But I'm not leaving. Not when we're just starting to figure out what this is." "What is this?" Isaiah smiled. "I don't know yet, but I want to find out. If you do." Victoria felt tears on her cheeks. When had she started crying? "I do." He pulled her into a hug. She wrapped her arms around him and let herself feel safe. Really safe. Not the false safety of wealth or walls or security guards. The real safety of someone who knew her, valued her, and chose to stay anyway. From the bed, Sophia stirred. "Dad?" They broke apart. Isaiah went to his daughter. "Right here, baby." "Is Victoria staying?" Isaiah looked at Victoria. She nodded. "Yeah, sweetheart, she's staying." "Good," Sophia mumbled, already falling back asleep. "I like her. She understands about the stars." 3 months later, Victoria stood in the parking garage beneath Sterling Financial Tower. The same concrete pillars, the same yellow lights, but everything was different now. Isaiah walked beside her, no longer wearing a janitor's uniform. He wore jeans and a casual button-down, his tightened security badge clipped to his belt. The job had worked out. Sarah had agreed to his terms. Fully remote, no travel without advance notice, family first always. He designed training programs from Victoria's apartment during the day while Sophia was at school. In the evenings, they had dinner together, the 3 of them, a family forming slowly from shared meals and telescope viewings and bedtime stories. "Still feels weird walking past here," Isaiah said, stopping at the spot where he'd first intervened. "Bad memories?" "No." He smiled. "Good ones. This is where everything started." "Everything?" Victoria raised an eyebrow. "Us, this." He took her hand. They did that now, held hands, kissed goodnight. Let Sophia see them building something together. "I spent years trying to be invisible, and then I saw you in danger and I couldn't—" "You couldn't walk away." "No, and I'm glad I didn't." Victoria leaned against him. "Marcus's trial is next month. They're offering him a plea deal. 5 years plus therapy plus a permanent restraining order. You okay with that? I am. He needs help more than punishment, and I'm not afraid anymore. She looked up at Isaiah. I was afraid for so long, afraid to be vulnerable, afraid to trust, afraid to let anyone close. And then you appeared, and you were brave enough for both of us. You were always brave, Isaiah said. You just needed someone to remind you. They stood together in the parking garage where violence had once shattered Victoria's carefully controlled world. But from that shattering had come something new, something neither had expected. Sophia appeared at the parking garage entrance, Rosa Martinez beside her. The older woman waved. Dad, Victoria, I got an A on my science project, and the teacher said I can present at the district fair. That's amazing, baby, Isaiah called. Sophia ran to them, threw her arms around both their legs. Can we go get ice cream, please? Rosa said it's okay if you say yes. Isaiah looked at Victoria. She nodded, smiling. Ice cream it is, he said. They walked toward the exit together, Isaiah, Victoria, and Sophia between them, each holding one of her hands. A family built from crisis and courage, from a parking garage attack that had brought together a CEO who'd forgotten how to be human and a janitor who'd been too human all along. Victoria, Sophia said as they reached the street. Yes, sweetheart? Are you going to marry my dad? Isaiah choked on air. Victoria laughed. Sophia, Isaiah said, his face flushed. You can't just... It's okay, Victoria said. She knelt down to Sophia's level. You know what? I don't know yet. We're still figuring things out. But whatever happens, I'm not going anywhere. Is that okay? Sophia considered this seriously, then nodded. Okay, but if you do marry him, can we get a bigger apartment? I want a room for my telescope. Deal, Victoria said, her throat tight with emotion. They walked into the evening, 3 people who'd found each other in the most unlikely way. Above them, stars were beginning to appear in the darkening sky. Sophia pointed them out, naming constellations, dreaming of the day she'd walk among them. And Isaiah and Victoria listened, holding hands, building a future neither had planned but both were willing to fight for. Because sometimes safety isn't about walls or weapons. Sometimes it's about finding people worth protecting and letting them protect you in return. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.